creator
I know
of
you
all
called that.
things that
And so it says
exist
right here in Colossians
exists
1:16,
in Jesus.
for by him were all
God
things
is not
created that are in heaven
confined by time.
and that are in the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things. And by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body of the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. It says, for it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, and by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. I'm going to stop right there. Now I'm going to go back up because I want to read it in the Amplified and the Young Literal Translation, because that's like the Hebrew context. And so it says, because in him were all things created, those in the heavens and those upon the earth, things visible, invisible, whether thrones, whether lordship, whether principalities, whether authorities. It says right here, all things were created and exist through him, that is by his activities and for him. And he himself existed and is before all things. He existed and is before all things. And in him all things hold together. He is the controlling, cohesive force of the universe. So why people worship the universe instead of worship the creator of the universe? Because our creator is the cohesive glue that's holding the whole universe together. In our galaxy, there's trillions and billions of stars, and within just our galaxy of the Earth solar system. That's not to compare to all the other galaxies and all the other planets that have their own solar system and galaxies and trillions and billions of stars and different moons associated with them. And God himself is the cohesive part that's holding it all together. Because why? Here's a God that is not confounded with time. And he has to exist outside of something that exists within time. And so anything that exists has a time on it. And so you got to have something that don't have an expiration date in order to create it and call it time. And so this is where we get the eternal, invisible, immortal God, the God that sits outside eternity. He is eternal. He's beginning, he's the end, and he's always was and always is and will always be. There's no tracing to his beginning and no tracing to his ending. He's the one that sits outside of what controls the time inside of it. Oh, come on, somebody. And so when people say, how can you imagine something that don't exist? Because it only identifies when the need comes about. And now it pulls on what? The one who created the things before it existed. And so he allows human mind that's operating a portion of the mind of the brain that God gave it. Because in the original beginning, man, before he fell, was operating directly from the mind of God. And so everything that God had created, this is why let's go to Genesis.